Good morning. Hey, what's up? This is Brian Kuzmar with Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals in beautiful Lauderdale by the Sea. I've got the Miami Coral Cam up and absolutely crazy amount of different fishes out here. I don't think I've ever seen this camera with so many species and colors. It is just awesome. I didn't even realize we had that many tropical fish in different colors here in Florida. I could sit here and watch this for another 20 minutes. There's all kinds of different stuff running across the screen. If you'd like to do it yourself, it is called the Coral City Camera, Miami's underwater live stream. Very awesome cam, and take a look at him. He's actually a tasty fish, I think. Not sure how big he is, though. Not sure you can eat the other ones, too. Hey, let's do a quick coin toss before we get into spot prices. I'm going to do an update on spot prices. I've been doing this coin toss for quite some time now, and it occurred to me that gold and silver kind of do their own thing sometimes, so I think I'm going to get a gold coin and do two coins. For you folks that go crazy over the spinning noise, maybe I'll do a toss, occasionally do a spin, or I'll do a flip on it. Today I'm going to just do a flip, keep it light on Robert's ears here a little bit. Ready? And let's see what it says. Bear today. All right. Seems like it might be a bit correct. And let's go over to markets and do a quick refresh here. Where are we at? We're still hanging around that 1800. Now there, quick refresh, 1797. Up $2 from. Well, hold on. Where did it close at yesterday? Yeah, it's about the same as it was yesterday. A low of 7. Look at that $7 range overnight too. That's just crazy nothing. 1795. A high of 1802. Currently sitting at 1797 in New York. The overnight markets for silver looks like it was around 2420. The low and a high of 24.43, and we're kind of sitting right in the middle there as well. And platinum 995.77, 1010. Those are really thin spreads there between the high and the low overnight on all these metals actually. And something interesting too, platinum has seemed to have kind of been a signal for gold and silver. I mean, it's probably coincidental, but I've noticed that when platinum's showing in the red, usually gold and silver are going to follow it that following morning or soon. That's just been a little trend that I've noticed. I don't know if anyone else has noticed that, but let's see if that just follows through. Again, just an observation, may not mean nothing, may just be coincidental, but maybe platinum is a tell right now. Tough to say. Let's move over again. Quiet markets here. Nothing crazy happening on the upside or the downside. I believe yesterday got monkey hammered a bit down because of the illusion that we had a stronger dollar, and I'm sure there's monkey hammering with that, because as soon as the announcement was made that there was a stronger dollar, gold got the crap kicked out of it a little bit, and silver got the crap kicked out of it as well. And why? What was the corporate financial news saying? Well, stronger dollar strength knocked down Bitcoin and all. I hate to see Bitcoin compared to gold, but knocked down precious metals. Bullshit. What that was is what I've been telling you for a long time. Any kind of news like a strong dollar or the Fed jawboning about raising rates or ending QE, that's when the manipulators come in and they hammer those markets under the illusion that, oh, people are selling because interest rates are going to be higher, which is a complete bullshit narrative, folks. Completely bullshit. When people tell you that, just look at them like they have no clue what they're talking about. Hey, misery loves company, and something we're going to talk about. I'm not going to go into too much today, but this is called the United States Misery Index. I've heard of it before. I found this website and I thought it was pretty cool. United States, let me explain what it is. Let me blow this up a little bit. And again, I'm going to start looking at this chart a little more, see if I can find any comparisons with precious metals. I bet you I can with over the years. And let's, for those of you not familiar with it, and again, I wasn't completely familiar. I've heard the misery index when I read all the different financial journals and such. Basically familiar with it. Here's a real simple explanation of what it is. Misery index 10.77 equals unemployment, 5.4 plus inflation rate equal 5.37. The misery index was initiated by economist Arthur Okun, an advisor to the President Lyndon Johnson in the 60s. It's simply an unemployment rate added to the inflation rate. It is assumed that both a higher rate of unemployment and a worsening inflation rate both create economic and social costs for a country. A combination of rising inflation, the more people out of work, implies a deterioration in the economy performance and a rise in the misery index. Let's see, the high they're showing. And look, that was the high of gold. That's kind of odd too. The highest the misery index was in 1980, 21.98. So wow, that is pretty high compared to where it is right now. Current 10.77, about half of that, and a low at 2.97 in 1953, shortly after the war, when everybody was coming home and everybody was feeling good and the economy was good, and we were still on the gold standard somewhat. Let's take a look at the index by year. I thought this was pretty cool right here. United States Misery Index, how miserable do you feel? And again, it has a couple, index by president, index by Congress, unemployment rate by year. So I think at some point I'm going to take a close look at this and do a do a little video, a little short segment on this, and compare it to gold prices and gold to silver ratios and other things. Keep an eye open for that. And again, pretty cool chart. You can check it out yourself. And what's the name of it? It's just called the miseryindex.us. And it's free for you to take a look at, and you can come up with your own, take a look at yourself. That's what I recommend. And again, let's look at the different presidents under Truman. Here's where, again, we were taking off the gold standard. Take a look at here, 69, 70. So I bet you I can make some comparisons with the misery index and the gold prices for sure. And let's see, where was the high? Again, 1980 under Carter. Kind of odd coincidence there, and kind of declined a little bit. The misery index declined during this period. Let's just move down here, and as you can see, it kind of wavers through here. Whoop, there we go on the upswing and downswing again, and under Mr. T, Mr. T, there it goes on the upswing. I'm not quite sure where it shows right now. Obviously, they've not updated this. They do it only on a yearly basis, so I'd be curious. Well, hold on. Let's take a look. We know what the current number is. It's 9.35 was the high under Mr. T there. And Mr. B, let's see, let's go back to home. Let's just see where the current is right there. So it is higher currently, the misery index, and probably will start to increase and go higher. Delete, nope, don't want to do that. Close, close, close. There we go. I guess they have to get their money somewhere. And again, free website, pretty cool, other than having the ads pop up here. Let's take a look at here. Nixon, Harry Truman, time period. Wow, they only go up to Nixon there. That's kind of no. Hold on. Misery index by president. How come they got it a little mixed up? It seems like they got Harry Truman at the end here. Oh, let's take a look here. Start. Let's take a look at our current president. 7.3 for T-Man. But they don't have, obviously, they're not going to have Mr. B in there. So George Bush, 10.7, the highs. Under Clinton, 10.56, Mr. Ford, 16. Wow. Ronald Reagan, start in 19. Oh, okay. So there's the end changes. Who had the biggest changes? Well, down here it looks like. A lot of cool data here. I'm not going to go over it right now until I figure out how to use it. So let's go into articles today. An article written by Charles Hugh Smith. I happen to like this gentleman. He writes some really good stuff. Is anyone willing to call the top of everything in the bubble? And if you get a chance, I recommend you bookmark this guy's website. He is really a bright guy, talks about economies and politics, which are kind of hand in hand in a lot of times. And what is he writing about here? Is anyone calling the top of everything, the everything bubble? Is anyone willing to call the top of the everything bubble? The short answer is no. Anyone earning money, any earning money manager other than people's money cannot afford to be wrong. So everyone in the herd predicates on timing. The herd has seen what happens to those who call the top and then twist in the wind as the market continues to rocket higher. And what I found interesting was, again, I recommend you read the whole article yourself. It's done by Charles Hugh Smith. But where is the little quote down here that I wanted to read? And he's talking about a friend of his recently summarized the consequences of this decoupling of markets and reality. I used to be with the bears until the uncoupling was complete, when the Fed started guaranteeing non-investment grade junk bonds. At that point, any semblance of sanity, much less probity, much less integrity, was gone. Rinse and repeat with digital dollars going to the tens and even hundreds of trillions of dollars. For 2 decades, last 2 decades, we fiscal sanityists, I like that word, have been assuming some baseline reality. I see none in sight, fundamentals, folks. This is what he's talking about. There's no fundamentals. And still plenty of assets to plunder and pump, and still resources to suck and suckers to shake down. The system is running hot and wild on its own algorithms. And actually, Actual people are lying back and simply lapping up the passive income created by a delusion-made reality. Again, no fundamentals, simply a credit-fueled bubble is what we're in. A massive, massive credit-fueled bubble across all the different assets. And again, that's my words, not his. And let me continue reading this quote here. With that much will and that much corruption, that much greed, that much lust, with a strong dose of fear and opportunism to flavor this toxic brew, I do not see the entity slouching away from Bethlehem anytime soon. Yes, it's a Keats reference, as he says. The falcon has long since not heard the falconer in its widening jeer. You got some words I'm butchering here, but we have virtual falcons now that will do whatever we think it is we want, which has been force-fed back to us. Until this mass delusion and psychosis breaks by whatever means, financial crash, rebellion against all the bullshit, and return to simple community, we are only going to see digital currency stocks and pretty much everything go up as tens of trillions of concocted dollars try to find some asset to ride. So this will continue to drive the stock market, the gold market, the cyber currency, land, everything to obtainable and giddy heights. I no longer think a bear market is even possible. Just soaring valuations based on funny money and an unpredictable crash at some point in the future, way longer than it ever should have been if we were in a sane world. Wow, I think that sums it up pretty perfectly here, folks. Again, you can just sum it up in one word: a central bank credit-fueled massive bubble that's going to take the wind out of the entire world's sails at some point, driving up everything, every asset across the board. This cheap-ass crap fiat money is looking for places to go. They're just making it cheaper, and it's looking for assets to buy, and that'll be anything, even, well, I better not say it, but even cryptos as well. It's just fearful money looking for a place to go. And it's well said, and he says it right here. Well said, Zeus. It's now irrational to expect markets to ever reconnect with the reality. That said, if you glance at the charts below, this is about as good a time as any for any bubble to burst. Recall that bubbles don't need a specific trigger event to pop. They simply stop going. And again, if you take a look at the charts that Mr. Hughes has provided down here, it's just scary, folks. You got to wonder when this is all going to pop. And remember what I've been telling you in my past shows is that when we see a 2008 collapse, and we're going to see it, the next collapse is going to make 2008 look like, I don't even know, look like nothing really, look like a small blip on the screen. The next credit-fueled bubble that's going to pop is going to be massive. And it's going to take down the price of gold and silver as well. Don't forget, I've said this many times, I saw it happen in '08, but it will only be temporary. It will only be a paper crash in precious metals. You will not be able to own real gold and silver at the prices you will see when the crash happens. And again, I think everything across, I would be highly doubtful if gold and silver goes up when the entire world blows up. Again, seeing it happen in 2008, I was surprised as hell about it. And then I realized, well, why did gold and silver go down in 2000? Not 2008, the year, but when the market crashed that week. Remember when everything just crashed across the board and they thought the world was going to end in 2008? The Lehman crisis, the whole 9 yards. Well, gold crashed with everything else. I had my jaw was open. I was like, what the heck happened here? That doesn't make any sense at all. And then I realized afterwards there was a few things that didn't make sense. People were laying off these huge paper, not real gold, not real silver. They were laying off huge amounts of their gold and silver or whatever to pay for money they had lost in other markets, margin calls, that kind of thing. And again, as I said, it was a paper-driven crash with precious metals at the same time. When you tried to buy real gold or silver, you couldn't do it. Premiums on silver eagles with silver like at 10, 12 bucks an ounce. I forget what it was on the crash. 10 and 12 bucks an ounce. Premiums on silver eagles were 7 to 10 bucks. They were as much then as they are right now, and delivery time was 3 months out, 4 months out. So when the crash does happen, folks, you are not going to buy, and it will. When you wake up, when the whole world crashes, and you wake up and you see gold and silver prices crash too, do not panic. It is simply a paper crash, and selling into that market would be insane. Now, this again, if it kind of plays out the same way it did in 2008, that's my opinion. Let's take a look at ZH and see what articles in here. All kinds of stuff. That's pretty scary, but the nice thing about that, it doesn't spread at all, or hardly spreads. So kind of like Ebola, 85% mortality rate, but not easy to get, fortunately. And good. That's good. He needs to be pelted some more. Rand Paul was absolutely correct in his assessment of this guy right here. What else? Oh, man. I always thought Australia was like the free, Australia and New Zealand were like free places. You know what I mean? The government was free and not free, but, more freedom-minded. Man, this whole thing that happened last year, the 19. Wow. Australia and New Zealand just went full-on tard, man. I'm telling you. Just full-on stupid, without a doubt. But anyway, I won't go into that, but you've been reading the news. You can see what they did. It's a total surprise to me. 85% of the high-yield bonds have a negative real yield. That's pretty damn scary. When they say negative real yield, what they're saying is that most of these bonds out here, they may be paying 1%, 2%, or something like that, a little bit over. However, once you figure in inflation and everything else, it's a negative yield. So, and that's the issue you got with when they talk about raising interest rates. Oh, the Fed's going to raise interest rates. Big effing deal, folks. Trust me on that. Big effing deal. You'll see gold and silver get monkey hammered when they talk about that. But really, how far can they raise it? Even if they did raise interest rates like they did in the 1980s, 8, 12%, some crazy numbers, savings accounts are paying some stupid 5 or 6 or 7%. Even if they did raise interest rates right there, that's not saying gold and silver is going to go down. Whoever made up that stupid narrative that higher interest rates means that metals are going to idiotic. There's so many times in history that's been proven untrue. Again, I'm just repeating myself over and over. Sorry about that. This is kind of interesting. I read this article. We talked about Bitcoin yesterday. Bitcoin shaken after Coinbase CEO slams SEC for engaging intimidation tactics behind closed doors. Apparently, Coinbase is trying to, turn Bitcoin into more of a. And listen, there's one thing I want people not to confuse with me. I'm not anti-crypto. I'm not anti-Bitcoin. I do see a place. Anti-Ethereum. I see a place for that technology in our future, not as money, though. It is not money, and you don't want it as money. You don't want governments turning cryptos into turning us into a cashless society. Trust me, folks. You would rather have those stupid little paper bills in your pocket, even if you had to carry 10 million of them, than a digital 1 and 0 that's tracked and that can be pulled away from you and all that kind of good stuff in a cashless society. So anyway, these folks were pretty tied up or pretty shaken because government stepped in and said, listen, we're not going to allow you to do that. The SEC did. And these guys had big plans to, Coinbase has big plans to take Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies into mainstream in a bigger way. It's because it's really not. There's only a few people out there that actually will take it as payment. Very few, fractional. So Coinbase is trying to increase that amount. And as I have said, good luck to them. And I really, truly mean that. But as I've said so many times, gold and silver people know this. Government and banks hate competition. Why do you think that GATA, GATA.org talks about governments and central banks, or central banks more or less, knocking down the price of gold and purposely trying to keep the price of gold down? Why? Because they hate governments and banks hate competition, folks. And that includes Bitcoin. So, I got a RAM thingy going on here, and let's just ignore that for now. So if my screen freezes up, you'll know why. Let's move down here. And again, governments hate competition, so you crypto folks should not be surprised that it's going to happen. And again, I see cryptos going to be heavily regulated or made illegal, or made illegal, and then I see governments and central banks adopting it on their own to turn us into a cashless society. That is my macro picture of Bitcoins and cryptos. When I step outside planet Earth and look down on it, I can see the big picture there. That's my opinion, of course. Futures extend slide. European markets drop on growth, of course. That's a shame. And For underreported signs, paper money is dying. There's some kind of cool stuff out here on ZH today. Some good articles here, I would say. Time for who the hell is that? And let's move along, because again, I could just kind of endlessly go on to politics and economics on ZH. AIER, really good website. There's 2 articles on here I want to discuss that I just seen. Government opposition to Bitcoin and the political history of silver in America. I'm going to read parts of this right here and just kind of brief over this one. Again, you can read these for free on American Institute for Economic Research. This is a legit site, folks. This is not corporate news sending you one simple opinion. And let me see, one of these I already opened up to read to you, and which one is that? And that is the one on government opposition to Bitcoin. So here, you can read this yourself again. Here, government opposition to Bitcoin. What I've been saying for the last couple of years now, governments and central bankers hate competition, and they work hand in hand with each other pretty much. But don't forget, central bankers are the boss, not the government. Good article here. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but more or less, here's the, again, I encourage you guys to read this because it is a good read. I did read the whole article, but we could be here for 2 hours if I read every article I point out to you. I'm going to point out some of the highlights here, what I thought. A government cannot levy, give me one second here. How far did I read down to? Okay, we'll just read till it stops being interesting. A government cannot levy punishment on Bitcoin users if it does not know who they are. Again, that was always our first assumption with Remember when Bitcoin and cryptos came out? Oh man, completely anonymous, completely anonymous. We are told that, and one of the reasons that I still believe that Bitcoin was created by a government entity or a government corporation, I should say, which could be anybody, more or less, is that we were told that it couldn't be tracked, but we found out that's not true. How then could it ban a pseudo-anonymous system like, gosh, I know what these words are. I'm sorry, folks. I do butcher them because I read a lot, but I don't read out loud a lot. So, system like Bitcoin. For starters, it could take steps to tie an individual to his or her balance of Bitcoin. The clearest path, which is also consistent with what the U.S. government has done, is requiring on and off ramps to the Bitcoin system to comply with Know Your Law customers. Now, this is where the regulation comes in. The Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, for example, requires exchanges to register as a money service business and collect identifying information on its customers. Then, if a Bitcoin transaction can be traced to the blockchain to an exchange, the government can subpoena the information from the exchange. So, the idea and the lie that we were told that cryptos were completely anonymous, major freaking lie, folks. A lot of people bought into that lie, too, and a lot of people probably hid money that they shouldn't have. Again, I still have my sneaking suspicions that this is some form of government entity. I don't know which government that created Bitcoin, but I again, keep repeating myself here. Even if one were to acquire Bitcoin without going through a regulated exchange, the government might still be able to discover his or her identity and levy punishments for use. Many transactions are inevitably reveal one's identity. Goods purchased online are typically delivered to the buyer or the buyer's agent. Many services are rendered and performed by the buyer present or with property that's owned. So basically what they're saying is that you're starting to see major regulation come in, and Bitcoin is anything but anonymous. It's nothing. It's not even close to being anonymous. You know what's anonymous? As much as I rail on it, we all rail on it, is those stupid paper dollars in our pocket. Those are anonymous, folks. And the governments and central banks realized it long ago, and they hate the idea that it's anonymous. They want to pull all those little paper dollars they gave you out of your pockets and out of your possessions, and they all want you to deal online so they can tax you and fine you and do all that stuff. And anytime they want your money to shut you down, they can do it. So you should fight that tooth and nail at all costs. Okay? You should never, ever allow them to go into a cryptocurrency. It's bad enough all of us are using cards and all that stuff. They're trying to go to a cashless thing. Folks, resist it every chance you get, because it's going to screw you. It's going to screw us. Again, my opinion. Good article here on American Institute for Economic Research. If you're into Bitcoin, you want to read more about this, or cryptos, government opposition to Bitcoin, great read. Again, you can read it for free on American Institute for Economic Research. Let's move over to another article that I wanted to read, A Political History of Silver in America. this was really interesting. Now, it's written by a guy that calls us gold folks gold bugs, so I got to give him, I got to forgive him a little bit. And of course, look at how old the guy is, the writer is. So, he's just a young fellow there. So, forgive me, he doesn't know, but he did call us gold bugs. But he wrote some really good stuff on here about silver as money, gold. And again, I'm going to do a few, well, let's see, how long is this article? Ooh, that could take a little while here. So even though it doesn't look that long, gold is the primary store of value for those who mistrust the government, but silver remains the refuge of choice for most people because it is cheaper and more accessible. The aptly named Silver University professor William Silver wanted to title his book Silver on Silver, but his publisher instead had him settle for the story of silver. Again, good article here. Looks like my power just flashed out. Sorry about that, folks. I'm glad I am on a backup here. Sorry about that. The aptly named blah, blah, blah. God, threw me off a little bit. Let's see. During the decades before the silver coin age of 1873, few Americans exercised the obligation to pay exercised the option to pay obligations in silver because the white metal was more valuable as bullion. Silver denominated as gold as a preferred currency for most of recorded history, primarily because it was scarce but not too scarce, so that it held its value but was sufficiently abundant to support the expanding trade. And again, really good article here. I'm not going to go into it too much because it is a long one, and this show will be literally 2 hours. I'm going to show you where to find it. American Institute for Economic Research, The Political History of Silver in America. Well written, despite the fact that the young man did call us gold bugs here, and a few little things that he mentioned down there I didn't think were real positive about precious metals, but no less, very well written and good to read. A lot of people don't know this, but silver was actually purchased by the U.S. government in large amounts back when they issued silver certificates. And again, this guy writes about some of this really cool history and how it played out politically. And William Jennings Bryan, the Roosevelts, the Hunt brothers, all kinds of cool stuff in this article. Good read, again, highly recommend it. And as I said, definitely put the American Institute for Economic Research up on your reading list. Folks, as much as I'd love to read all these articles to you, again, it's just, I'm not a reading service. I'm here just to point things out to help you learn. As I said, if I don't read it to you, don't get disappointed. Just please read it yourself here. I think you're going to get far more out of it by reading it yourself. And again, great website. Should be like gata.org. This should be on your bookmarks bar above. Government, we just read that one too. Really, two good articles on AIER here this week. So very happy to add that to what we discuss on our daily shows here. Again, I'll start looking at that site on a daily basis. GATA.org. If you are a metals trader, if you are a stacker, and you don't have GATA.org on your bookmark bar up above here, then you really don't know what you're doing. And I say this in all seriousness. GATA.org is the #1 authority out there. They don't live in their mother's basements. They're not tinfoil hat wearers. The #1 authority on manipulation in gold and silver markets. Who does it, how it's done, who the players are. And if you don't know this stuff, then you can't win the game, folks. So I recommend that, if you're new listening to my show, that you have this on your bookmark bar. Venezuela. It's funny, we were talking about this yesterday, weaponization. We've talked about this many times, how the U.S. has weaponized the dollar and has caused many countries pain, Venezuela being the most recent one. And you got to wonder, too, is this really the result of, I think the central banks are just as guilty as governments for trying to steal gold out of Venezuela and forcing the Venezuelan people to eat dogs and stuff like that. Listen, folks, this is not a political war we're dealing with in Venezuela. This is an economic war. Our government was fine with Venezuela until they started talking about de-dollarization, getting out of the dollar, getting out of the petrodollar. God forbid, if you try to get out of the petrodollar, the United States or central bankers will throw every weapon they have at you. And again, like I said yesterday, they stuck a knife up Gaddafi's bum for saying, for de-dollarization. So it's not about politics. You think our politicians give a flying F about any Venezuelans? Hell no, they don't. This is an economic war of banks about the petrodollar right here. And it's also about squeezing the Venezuelans Venezuelans out of all their gold. Because where is that gold going to end up in? It's going to end up in BIS. It's going to end up with the central bankers. So it's greedy. Never mind. Okay. Tour the Bank of Thieves, the bank, the BIS, the Bank of Thieves exhibition. GATA talks about how BIS doesn't. They did a little museum to themselves, because they think so much of themselves, these people, these central bankers, these thieves, that they've got a little museum for themselves out there. And GATA is simply pointing out that they're not mentioning that they had Nazis working for them earlier in the 50s and 40s and 50s. Boy, interesting read here. You should definitely read this on GATA.org. It's true, though. It's true. At the outbreak of World War II in September 1939, the BIS Board of Directors, on which the main European central banks were represented, decided that the bank should remain open, but that for the duration of hostilities, no meetings of the Board of Directors were to take place. However, as the war dragged on, evidence mounted that the BIS conducted operations that were helpful to the Germans. Also, through the war, the Allies accused the Nazis of looting and pleading with the BIS. So the BIS took gold from the Nazis. And you know where that gold came from? Probably 5 million Jewish folks and another 5 million people that the Nazis disagreed with who actually stole it. And who took that gold? The BIS folks, these central bankers, these greedy, rotten bastards. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that, but they really are. They're not looking out for you or I. They look out for themselves. They look out for enriching their buddies and themselves. Central bankers are not here to help us, folks. You got to remember that. They're not here to help us. They're here to help themselves to your shit. Oh, you know what? I'm starting to hear. Let me calm down by reading comments. So, yesterday's video, Crypto Conspiracy, as you know, there was a reason for that title, and it was not to bash cryptos. I don't bash them. I just say if you're going to play in that market, it's like a casino. You better know what you're doing, and it's not money. And I'm happy to debate anybody on that. So let's take a look at a couple comments from yesterday's video here. And I'd like to thank everybody for watching and commenting. Hey, Inspector, what's going on? Glad you went to a coin show. Keep that money local. Nice to see you, sir. Hey, sorry to hear that. I hope you get out real soon. I hope you're feeling better. And I'm glad to see you added a few ounces of silver to your position. Stay safe. Oh, yeah, I'm staying safe. I watch both ways, and I look far ahead in traffic on my new Momo cycle. So thanks for being concerned, Amor. Appreciate that. Joey, hey, what's going on? And you're a rider too. I'm getting back into riding, and I forgot what a big smile a motorcycle can put on one's face. Give me 1 second. I'm going to take a quick cup. You always remind me of my coffee, Joey. Hang on. Hey, Bill. The whole conversation is pissing me off. Yeah, I get that way. You hear me, Bill. William, I get a little pissy sometimes. I'm not happy with what I see going on out there. I'm not happy. I mean, no one can be. No one that has any kind of sanity to them can be happy about this, or no one with their eyes open either. So, Mr. Swanner says, I'm 62. I like your assessment of precious metals, and I think gold and silver should be part of everyone's portfolio. My favorite investment is land and property. I would agree with you. Mr. Swanner, my biggest issue is that I just waited too late for property. I stuck my money back into my business and the precious metals, and I don't like the market right now. I just think it's overheated on everything. I'm afraid to put my money any place pretty much except gold and silver. However, I always got my eyes open, and I think when the big crash happens, maybe it'll hit real estate and everything across the board, and gold hopefully and silver will be way high. I'll sell off some of my gold and silver and buy when there's blood in the street with equities and real estate and other things. That's if that happens. However, it's a strange world. Who knows? I mean, the money is getting so cheap looking for places to go. Maybe everything just increases in value. Maybe it's just a really hyperinflationary environment, in which case, I mean, how do you win in that? I don't know. Precious metals. What do you mean I don't know? Precious metals, that's how you win. At least it's about wealth preservation at the very least. Yeah, I remember hearing, hey, listen, you want to hear something interesting, folks? I was going to buy Bitcoin when it was like $7. I know that sounds crazy. That was a while back ago. I'm up on things. I read things all the time. I went to look, and I said, I'm going to buy, I'm going to go buy 10 or something, or 20 or something, spend a couple $100, at $7 or whatever it was at the time. And I remember that $7 number kind of specifically. I don't know why, but I went and I looked how to do it, and it was so freaking complicated. I just didn't do it. But seriously, at $7, I myself was going to buy Bitcoin, and I was going to buy a couple hundred of them. A couple $100 worth. Man, I don't regret it, though. I really don't. It's just one of those things. It's, just an opportunity that I looked at, didn't get a chance to do, but no regrets on my part. I seldom do regret things like that. So, you do what you do in life, and I wouldn't worry about what you could have done. I am always concerned about what I'm doing now. And almost buying as one collector. Now, crypto is third of my portfolio and has outperformed every investment in the last 5 years, including metals. Yeah, but again, it depends, Mr. Swanner, when the time frame is. If you bought cryptos at 100, if you bought Bitcoin at $100, great. You can't, as I've always said, if you know how the game is played, or you're in at the bottom floor, and you got some fundamentals behind it, and you know how you're playing, you know who the players are, you can make money in this game. But for most people, Mr. Swanner, they've lost a lot of money in Bitcoin. They don't understand it like you. They didn't buy in at a low. And at this level, I wouldn't recommend it to anybody, sir. And that's just my opinion. But I'm glad to see you did very well in it. And I'm a full capitalist. I believe that Bitcoin and all these cryptocurrencies should be allowed to exist. I don't think they should be regulated, or I don't think they should be made illegal. I'm all about freedom. But again, do I like that market? I really don't. I really don't. I don't see anything there but zeros and ones. I don't see anything there. What do you own? Absolutely nothing. At least with currency, you own a piece of paper. But no less, I can see it as a glorified money market account one day, which I think is what they're going to turn it into, and what it's looking like lately, because it hasn't had that volatility. Well, let me move on. Thanks for watching, Mr. Swanner. I really appreciate it. It's obvious you don't really I do. Well, hold on. Let me get to that question. Yes, I do, Mr. Swanner. I understand Bitcoin very well. I understand what it is and what it is not. So please don't put words on my mouth. I studied it too. It is not. It is not money, sir, and that's for sure. Oh boy, I could go through the rest of it. We represent everything like that we know, and including real estate metals. It's fair equal value. Again, sir, I completely disagree with that. What is Bitcoin? It's not even a fiat. At least with fiat, you get to hold a piece of paper in your hand for the most part. That's just a 1 and a 0 that requires electricity and internet, which I don't even trust all the time either. Again, thanks for watching, Mrs. Swanner. I appreciate it. I just disagree with you. Mr. Barton says, I went there and I was treated bad. Oh, I was talking about the shop in Lakeland. I thought you went to a friend of mine's shop and you were treated badly. God, I feel terrible to hear that. I can't imagine why. I know the guy that owns that place, Nick, and what a super nice guy he is. I just feel bad that you had that experience with him. But anyways, I'm glad you found someone different, and you're happy with them. Thanks, and I agree with you. Nobody wants to be treated stupid. Absolutely. Sorry you had that experience, sir. Thanks for watching, Jeremy. And Justin Sue says, let them tax your children. That's what they're going to do. Your children are actually going to be slaves of the state at some point, Justin, so I agree with that. Bob Myers says, never get bored with my show. No, I don't either, but I can't say I get some mornings I just get up and I don't know what I'm going to say, but usually, as I said, once I start talking, it's like a snowball effect. You can't shut me up. So, hey, thanks for watching, Bob Celeste. Hey, how you doing? As far as silver tea sets and candelabras and stuff, don't sell them. Just hold them with your stuff. They're just worth the melt value, most of that stuff anyway. And just look at it as a silver investment. A kind of pretty one that you can use as well. But just hold on to your candelabras and all that stuff with your silver bars and your coins and stuff. It's the same thing. It's just in a different form. And it gets discounted a little bit more. Thanks for watching, Celeste. Chris, hey, what's up, dude? Old silver dollars. Hey, I'm glad you found. Oh, cool, you found some stuff. It's always nice finding things you didn't know you had. Mr. Luftwaffe says, have you ever heard of DeFi centralization? Bitcoin is not controlled by anyone, especially the criminal Federal Reserve. Manipulation like gold and silver has with FUD. Bitcoin has already been deemed property like precious metals. I hold gold and silver and Bitcoin. Hard to lug a half a mile of gold and silver, but you can't take all your Bitcoin wealth wherever you go. Pros and cons of both. I can't argue with that. I can't argue with it. But again, to me, it's just ones and zeros. It doesn't exist. It's a form of fiat, imaginary form of fiat, in my opinion. However, gosh darn it, this sounds so negative. That's my opinion. But do I believe that I think people should be able to do it and it should exist? Absolutely, absolutely. It's like casinos and things. I think they should exist. I think people should be free to put their money wherever they want, even if I don't agree with it. However, I just don't see it. I just don't see it as anything but a digital contract, more or less, of some sort. Thanks for watching, sir. I appreciate it. Michael, gosh, okay. And yeah, Mr. Rodriguez, nice to see you commenting, sir. Again, all that's missing is a great white shark. Saw a hammerhead, but not a great white shark yet. Crypto is a scam. Virtual money, never. I don't know if it's a scam. I don't want to call it a scam. Virtual money, never. It's only going to be a scam if we find out that Bitcoin was created by a government entity to push us into a cashless society, and the fact that it's manipulated by giant whales. Maybe it would be a scam if that was true. And that might be true. Again, tough to say there. Thanks for watching, sir. Jeff says I should start sharing my knowledge of numismatics. Yeah, I'm going to start doing some more. As you can tell, if you look at my videos down below, if you go to my page, you'll see I got a few numismatic things on there. They don't seem to get the views that precious metals do, but no less, when I get some time, I mean, I know that stuff well. I definitely will do some numismatic stuff. Thanks for watching, Jeff. Hey, Robert. Oh, yeah, I mentioned that earlier. I tried to flip the coin instead of spin it for you today so I could save your poor ears. Hey, listen, I'm going to continue to spin and flip. So, when I'm spinning, just humor me and don't worry about it. You can turn the volume down. Thanks for watching, Robert. Really appreciate it. And shite. Like that. Question for you by Sean. On $500 to $600 budget a month to spend on gold, would you recommend half ounce, quarter ounce, or wait for the 1 ounce? Well, that's a tough one. What I don't like about half ounce and quarter ounces is that the premiums on some of that stuff is too high. So I'm going to recommend, Sean, that you look for low premium quarters and halves, as you can pick them up and you're not paying more than a $100 per ounce, per ounce, not per coin, per ounce. If you're paying less than a $100 per ounce premium on halves and quarters, and it's not a bad deal. You may want to look for sovereigns, French 20 francs, some of the older stuff that's legit and great to buy, because if you can pick it up for a low premium, buy that stuff. Because I'm afraid to tell you to wait for a 1 ounce, because the problem is when you go to buy your 1 ounce, the cost, it may, the price may be up so much higher, maybe down also, but the price might be so much higher that it just kind of it didn't help you waiting, because you would have been better off paying the high premium. So my suggestion is buy now when you can. If you can buy quarters and halves, and again, not pay more than a $100 per ounce premium, I would suggest that. And again, I think the products you're most likely to do that with is French 20 francs, British sovereigns, which you should probably be paying anywhere from 20 to 40 bucks over spot per coin on that. And that's actually, 40 is too high, actually. 40, 80, yeah, 160. If you can pick them up for 30 bucks over spot or so, that's not too bad, or per coin. And again, thanks for watching. And oh gosh, another coffee sipper here. I got one more question. I'm not going to sip another coffee. Thanks for watching, Sean. Tim Gibson, this is a rotten generation. Only a minority are out of it. I don't know. It's not a rotten generation. I like the kids, man. I really do. But the problem is that the parents and teachers and the people, we haven't taught them any responsibility, personal responsibility. We haven't taught them the Constitution. We haven't taught them about not being a victim, being responsible for everything in their life. I mean, they're getting all these bad signals from everybody, including their teachers out there. If your kid's in the public school, I feel sorry for them. I really do. Indoctrinated. So no, I don't think it's a bad generation. I just think they have really bad, horrible teachers, if you ask me. I do my best to educate young folks in economics, politics, and everything. And when it comes to politics, I'm not trying to push them into a particular side, red, blue, left, right. I'm just trying to explain the right thing to do. And the right thing to do is always the Constitution, one of the most brilliant documents out there. Well, that's really about it. I'd like to thank everybody for watching today's video. This is Brian Kuzmar. I'm a local dealer only. I deal in South Florida, so if you live in my area, I advertise to beat APMEX, SD Bullion, JM Bullion, so if you've been buying online, you don't need to do that anymore. I can offer a better price, and they're great companies, don't get me wrong, the big companies, as far as I know. And I can beat their price, I can beat their service, I can give better advice, all kinds of great things, and I'm local. And if you don't live in my area down here, I recommend you find a local dealer before you buy online. And I'm a big, I always tell people, whether it's cars, tires, whatever, buy local. Try not to buy out of your community. Keep that money local. Spend it here, keep it here. That's my recommendation. You're doing your community a service, and it's just better to keep that money here than buying online. So if you don't live in my area, find yourself a good local dealer. That's my recommendation, even if you have to drive an hour or two to do it. I think that's important, and you'll get better service, I believe. Well, that's really about it. This is Brian Kuzmar with Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals in beautiful Lauderdale by the Sea. Call me anytime at 954-493-8811 between the hours of 10 and 4, Mondays through Fridays. Happy to help you out. Well, that's really about it. I'll talk to you tomorrow, and have yourself a great day. Thanks again. Bye now.